Hello. In the group C, in the round 2, we had a match between Daniil Dubov and Levon Aronian. In the first round, Levon beat Vidit and Dubov drew against Kamer. And we had the London system, d4, knight f6, bishop f4 and d5. A very unusual choice for Dubov, who usually plays the Catalan opening, and maybe he was trying to mix things up since people know that he plays Catalan. So he plays this. We have c5, knight f3, knight c6, and knight bd2. After which Levon plays knight h5. Also, there is a line like queen b6, which can lead to a very sharp position after dc5, queen b2, and after rook b1, queen c3, bishop b5, and after g6 and e4, the game becomes really intense. But he chose to play this. Recently there was a game between Prague and Karyakin, in which Prague took on c5, and after capturing g6, bishop b5, we had the battle of two knights versus two bishops, in which black prevailed, but the position was really interesting and not completely clear. And here Dubov chose to play bishop e5 to somehow try to preserve his bishop pair. Now if Aronian takes on e5, this is bad because of knight e5 and bishop b5 coming next. Also have in mind that the knight on h5 is under attack, so you cannot go g6 because of bishop b5. And if knight f6, there is a check on b5, bishop d7, and after capturing, you can take on c5 and hold on to this pawn with b4 and c3. So black cannot capture the bishop on e5, and he goes for e6. And now c4 by white. He doesn't play in the typical London style, he plays c4 in this case. Levon takes on d4, and now these pawns in the center get exchanged. Queen d5, and now bishop c4 first. Queen d8, and now white has to give up his bishop pair. He takes on d4, knight d4, knight d4, and knight goes to f6, and Dubov castles now. Bishop e7, just finishing development, nothing special. Queen b3, castles, and now rook fd1 by white. He wants to put his rooks on the open files and to challenge black's queen at some point. After knight 2 to f3 to have some threats like knight e6 or knight c6. And here Levon goes for bishop c5, rook ac1. Now capturing on d4 is too early, I would say, because of knight f3, and he would capture at some point, because e5 is just a waste of material since knight e5 is winning. So he goes for queen e7, trying to get away from any discovered attacks. Dubov goes knight 2 to f3, and now b6. He wants to fianchetto his bishop on b7, but also it was possible to just go e5 now. And if knight e2, then bishop g4, and then put his rook on c8, the other one to d8, and have a quite nice game. But he went for this, and Dubov chose to play bishop b5, trying to meet bishop b7 with bishop c6, trying to somehow eliminate the bishop pair, which is nice for white. In this position, knight e5 was a bit trickier to somehow stop bishop b7, because if you go bishop b7 now, then white has knight f7, a very nice tactical shot. And if rook takes, then I think you have knight e6 with knight g5 next. If you capture with the king, then there is bishop e6. The king going to e8 is a bit scary because of queen b5 check and some discovered check on f5 or whatever. So if the king goes to g6, then there is also this, and the king is just in too much danger. If queen e8, now even rook c5 works, and after this knight e6. And the point is that after this you don't even capture the bishop, you just go give a check, and after bishop e4 to somehow interfere with the queen. Now bishop f5 is very strong, and after, let's say, king h6, you can take, and take on e4, after which white has two pawns for the exchange. After bishop f5, if you take on f5, there is check, this, and this check. Now if you play g5, there is knight f5. And if king h5, then you give a check here, and after g4, there is at least queen a8. Being 2 pawns up, I think you can afford this. And after knight e5, it could be a bit unpleasant for black. Maybe bishop d4 is a good move for him, and after this, again, bishop b7 is bad because of knight f7. After this, maybe to go to c7, but after f4, it seems like white still has a slight edge. After this, queen e7, you can even exchange queens and just take with the rook. White has a spatial advantage and he has a slight edge. After b6, Dubov tried bishop b5, trying to just meet bishop b7 by bishop c6. Levon played rook ac8 and now they exchanged. And now black doesn't have a bishop pair anymore. He went for h3. Black took on d4, knight d4, and we had massive exchanges after rook c8, rook c4 first, g6 and knight b5. Threatening knight d6 next. Now black took. We have an equal endgame. Queen d7 and knight d4, trying to block the d-file. But now Levon plays h5. With h5, Levon tries to stop any expansion by g4, g5, and he's not exposing himself too much. Queen c6 by Dubov. A very interesting try, because now exchange of queens doesn't really do that much for black. It can be a bit unpleasant here. After a6, knight b8, a5. Black is still fine, but his pawns are not so flexible anymore. And there's no need for that. Black can just keep the queens on the board. And after queen c4, he went back. We had a repetition of moves, and after check, king g7, queen c3, queen d6, and we had this perpetual check. On move 36, they agreed to a draw. That's it. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section. See you soon and bye.